Hey everyone, Ben Scott here from Solution Focused Possibilities. I hope you're all keeping well. I just wanted to today bring up a little thought, little reflection that came from observing some practice and supervising someone. So I don't know if you're anything like me, but I know that sometimes we can feel like we've been trapped in a certain conversation. So, trapped in a cycle of negativity, maybe, where the person we're talking to is just kind of stuck on seems stuck on a certain topic. Maybe where we go round and round in circles. And something similar happened to this practitioner that I was supervising, that I was observing, where there was this wonderful conversation, solution-focused conversation going on, where the client was describing how in recent weeks they'd been really trying hard to engage more in conversation with their mother. So this teenage client had felt like their relationship, their communication with their mum was really not where they wanted it to be. And in recent weeks, they've been trying much harder to engage in conversation with their mum. And one example of this that the client gave was, well, actually, I stayed up late. I stayed up later than normal this week so that I'd be awake when my mum came home from work so that I could have a conversation with her. And it was soon after this that the conversation took this sort of sour, negative turn that left the practitioner, a little bit shaken by it, because the client became very annoyed, very frustrated, almost angry. And the practitioner asked me afterwards when we were reflecting, said, I almost felt like I'd done something wrong, like felt they were angry at me. And as we were sort of unpicking that and reflecting on how it quickly turned from this really positive conversation to quite a negative one, we realised that the turning point was this question asked by the practitioner when they said, what do you think your mum noticed about you? What did your mum notice about you during that conversation? Which on the surface seems like a perfectly reasonable, good solution-focused question, and on many occasions would probably work well. However, if we're thinking about why did that take a negative turn, and in this case it was the client saying, well, my mum probably noticed that I started to get annoyed and fed up really quickly. She probably noticed that I was getting bored of the conversation, that sort of stuff. And if we think about why did that happen on this occasion, perhaps one of the reasons is because the question wasn't tied as closely as it could have been to the client's previous answers. Okay. By previous answers, I mean this idea of the client saying they'd been really trying to engage with their mum and trying to engage in conversation with their mum. And we thought, well, perhaps if that wording, if the client's language had been incorporated in the same question, maybe it would have been a bit tighter, and maybe it would have kept us on the solution-focused trajectory of building towards the future they wanted, rather than turning into negativity. So practically, what I mean by that is, rather than simply asking, what did your mum notice about you during that conversation, it would be saying, so what did your mum notice about you during that conversation that showed you were really trying to engage? What did your mum notice about you during that conversation that showed you were really trying to engage with her? So I think one of the top tips, and we've said this before, but it's always worth remembering, always worth reflecting on, to keep your conversation with clients on a solution-focused trajectory, is to always try and incorporate their previous answers into your questions. Try and incorporate their own words and build them into your questions to help them to keep moving, and by inviting them to keep building towards that future that they want and that they desire. All right, hope that's helpful, guys. Have a great week, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care.